Episode 6.
Time's just flying by.
Flying by. It's like we do these once a week now. It's crazy.
It really is a little weird.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Dion.
How are you?
I am. I'm okay. A little, at loose. Like I don't know.
You're
I've
loose?
been in a hurry for the last 3 hours.
Oh, that's the worst.
So it's kind of hard to ooh, now I'm gonna sit here.
Now we're gonna be mellow and talk.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk
about the UD2s. Got some. Is that your nickname or is that what they call them?
That's no. I just made that up.
Oh, okay. I think it works.
Yeah. I was just like, what are we gonna call these guys? Atlanta United 2, and trying to do the. I hate doing the two monikers because you can't do a score line with them.
Yeah, because it's.
You can't say Atlanta United 2-0. It's just what.
So the UD2s, we're gonna
the UD2s.
We're gonna talk about the drubbing. We're gonna talk Birmingham and not the snooty suburb.
Birmingham.
But the Alabama version, and then we got
Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham, Alabama, and then we got Open Cup. Have we recorded since that draw happened? I don't think we did. No. So hey, we're playing.
Draw was on Friday.
We're playing the Crew. In case you haven't heard.
Yep.
Kind of a big deal.
Tuesday night. A week from yesterday. At Keyworth, 7:30. Tickets are available right now. Go buy them because they're selling quickly. This is our first competitive match against an MLS team.
So
in our history.
Strap in, folks.
And yeah. I don't know. Do we want to talk about that now, or we got that later?
I mean, we save the best for last, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Let's. I mean, we'll come back to it, but I mean,
we'll get Jam on that too. I'm sure Jam will have opinions on that. So
the Crew are an MLS original side. They are not like somebody that's been added since the Billionaires came on board. They were one of the original ones. And the original soccer specific stadium, which they've since abandoned.
A heritage team.
Yeah. So them coming up here is a big deal, and I think it's probably going to be a good match. They are a good side, and yeah.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I think you and I are on opposite ends of the spectrum on that match too. So that will be a fun conversation for later. So we got USL news, right?
Yeah.
Some games happened.
Always
happening.
Right. I do want to say that I'm the USL website still. I'm going to complain about this until it changes. Win, loss, tie does not make sense for soccer. The 3-point thing, the 0-point thing, and then the 1-point thing. Why? No, there's a reason it goes win, draw, loss, because that's the way it works in soccer. You are a soccer league, you fuckos. You're not an American football league. This only makes sense when ties are just something that almost never happens. In baseball, in American football, it makes sense. Okay, but you don't need to adopt every North American tradition to feel like you're American. Wrap yourself in the flag and then write win, draw, loss. And then we'll be good.
Cope Hard or USL?
Jesus Christ.
So
it just doesn't make sense, and it drives me crazy every time I look at this because you have to create a little
I want to know
algorithm.
What spurred this rant?
Looking at the standings.
The table.
I have the same.
The table.
Yeah, all it takes is me looking at the table, and I'm immediately like, God damn it! I mean, every time.
So yeah, in our show notes right now, Sean put a little cute little screenshot.
Sorry.
No, we're good. No, this is fine. I've got 2 minutes at a time for rants, so we're good. So that was 2 minutes. You got your 2 minutes on that. We'll get 2 minutes on the clock. Okay, next speaker, 2 minutes.
I remain the rest of my time.
Yeah. So where are we at in the table, Sean?
Detroit City are 5th, above in the playoff places right now with 8 points from 5 matches. 1 point ahead of the Miami FC and Loudown United and Memphis 901,
Oh,
and 1 point behind Tulsa and Tampa Bay. Um,
we're one
and
point
then
behind Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
the Tampa Bay, yeah, they lost last weekend. Actually, that was
To
the one of
to
to
their yeah.
to the Miami FC.
Wow, that old Florida Derby.
Yep. It was crazy. Pittsburgh won a crazy match. I mean, they continued to play very well. They beat Tulsa on the road 4-3. Um, Indy 11 managed to beat Rio Grande Valley, who are just really bad, I guess.
That was an expected win
Um,
for Indy, right?
yeah, a good win for Indy, and Indy just signed the very best player in USL.
They need it.
So
They need it.
yeah, Solomon Asante is like a real difference maker. I saw that and it was like, oh.
He was at Phoenix
um,
last year, right?
yeah, last 2 years. He was the MVP the last 2 years.
Yeah, I did see some of their supporters on Twitter, or maybe it was Discord. It was whatever social media. There's fucking too much social media. Wherever I saw it, some Phoenix supporters were saying that towards the end of last season he really trailed off, though. So
Yeah, he is older. I mean, uh, you know, maybe that's why he kind of didn't come in until the fifth, sixth match. So that to kind of save his legs. Like, okay, I'll just take the beginning of the season off.
See how I feel.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. But I mean, he's definitely been,
he's a good addition
I think
still.
he's a good addition. They were loudly unhappy when it was announced he wasn't returning. So I wonder if there isn't some of that. Like, look at those grapes up there. I know they're sour.
Scorned lover situation.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So we got next.
San Diego. Charleston's terrible. Continues to be terrible. And San Diego thumped them 4-1. Louisville is first place. They're undefeated.
To be expected.
They've won 4. They've lost none, and they've tied 2.
Undefeated.
Yes,
a lot of points. 14 points already early in the season.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
14 points on the board through 6 matches. That's there. That's somebody needs to beat them. And then finally, the last match of the weekend was the team we're playing this week, Birmingham, beating Hartford 2-1.
And we play Hartford after Birmingham in the league too. So this was a preview, kind of for both teams for us.
Yeah.
So that game,
and a largely encouraging one.
Well, it was. If you're a DCFC fan, go ahead and if you want to take a nap for almost the entire second half, turn on that game. It was ugly. Uggo.
It was like just you want to say that teams are nullifying each other, but it's really more just like it's like they were inspiring each other to greater and greater heights of terribleness. They're like, oh, watch this. Like they're just straight out of bounds. Like okay, yeah, wow.
It was a battle to see who could fuck up less and who. The winner of that game made one less mistake than the other team.
Yeah, it was not
so
good.
We'll get into that kind of later in the episode after we bring Jam on, because we're going to talk supporters. We're going to talk all of the developments with them.
My nose is itching like crazy.
No, you're good. Live TV, folks.
Yeah, sorry, my nose is itching so badly. It's like I just got to make sure I'm not. Okay.
So, the UD2s and away
UD2
to Kennesaw, Georgia. Right? That's how you pronounce that.
Kennesaw, exactly.
Hour and a half outside of Chattanooga. Looked like a nice stadium for the practice team.
It wasn't. Yeah, it didn't look bad. The field seemed nice, except for the fact that. Was there did it rain before the match, or did they just overwater the pitch?
I think they overwatered it big time, because it was like slip and slide party out there for the first half hour of the match.
The whole time, like after the first 15 minutes, I'm desperately trying to catch any glimpse of are there clouds? Like it seems like the weather doesn't seem rainy, but there's so much water on this pitch. There were a couple of places in the channels where it was throwing up rooster tails when you passed the ball.
So I mean, since we're talking about it already, let's talk about it. And I brought this up in bad news, people. I typed up some of the show notes this week, so it's going to be all over the place. But um, we should have had way more goals in the first half. I think by like the at the end of the half, I counted that it really should have been like 5-0, and I think it was 2-0. And so we just had a really hard time, per usual, in that final third in that match. I feel like, and
I
it could
mean,
have been because it was wet. Like, to be honest.
I feel like we we haven't quite we've started to synchronize our runs and our attacking movements a lot better. So instead of as soon as we get into the attacking zone, the very next pass is the one that we blow. Like that's kind of how it was early on. We wouldn't even get to a place where we're able to create a chance because we kind of shit the bed as soon as we enter the attacking third. Like whatever we would try wouldn't come off. Um, Now it's not going that way. We are the synchronization is coming around, but we just aren't finishing very well. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, and I think we are still extremely cautious in this league. I think that we like in the Atlanta match, I felt like we it took us really about half an hour to to feel like okay, we are in control of this match. Like
Hmm.
we could like we were able to do things to them, but we were still kind of operating from a base of cautiousness. It seemed to me that we know that we are shorthanded and that we need to kind of keep our powder dry and try to make them show their cards before we make any
And
decisions.
do you think
Um,
that's like match planning? That's their goal, or do you think that's the way that these players are choosing to play
no, I think it's probably coming from
up top?
Trev and from the
Yeah.
coaching staff. I think that they're kind of like, listen, we want to make sure we aren't trailing, halfway after a quarter of the match. So they kind of assess, and you'll see lots of conversations. Uh, you know, one of the things I would encourage people who are watching a match to pay attention to, like if you haven't seen a lot of live soccer in your life, like watch the conversations that happen, like in the moments right after a play. You and that because that what's happening in those moments is our guys are working it out. You know, they're kind of like, okay, there's not much space here. This thing isn't quite working. Let's modify it this way, and they'll just kind of make those decisions, like Brad and Maxie, or Maxie and Reese, or Stevie and Devin, or whatever. You'll have like a little powwow where they'll kind of work something out, and then they usually slightly change the way they're playing something. Um, and uh, so I think it's coming from the coaches, but then what happens is that as we have those conversations, we start to really get our claws into the game, you know. Um, and once we did that against Atlanta, it really just turned into men against boys,
Yeah.
um, to
So
me.
yeah,
Like there
yeah,
were
we had what, 4 goals, right? So
right 4 goals.
we had one
Um,
from Steve,
right,
23rd minute, right? Like,
right.
and of course it was Steve, and of course he was wearing white boots. I have to say that for Jackie.
Yeah, it was really Steve really like like that was a good finish.
No,
It
yeah.
didn't look like a center back
No,
finish.
he
You
power
know,
fucked that ball.
yeah. Well, I mean, Devin headed it down sharply.
Yeah,
So it's coming at pace, and Stevie just picked it clean, like just volleyed it clean, like
all in
just
a day's work.
no big deal. Yeah, bam,
And,
1-0.
then so second goal, who'd we have? Hopono, right?
Yeah, Antoine,
And that
Antoine.
was the build up play that
That was the one that I featured in the match story where I talked about how in the moment like leading up to that was when Reese and the Mejia kid from Atlanta like both went for the ball, and Reese just bodied him to the floor like kind of effortlessly, and then took all the time in the world to like perfectly size up a cross because Mejia is still laying on the ground like, so yeah, I mean it really that was kind of the men against boys moment,
Yep.
and I felt like after that we really, that was, we went to a period where we were really taking it to them like like you would in a pickup game.
Yeah.
Like we were pressing them a lot harder and keeping the ball a lot higher. We weren't doing that kind of midfield possession where the center backs set up 10 yards behind the midfield stripe. We were pressing them right up into possession and into their half.
Yeah.
Um, and created a lot of half chances. But we don't have anybody that finishes like in a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We don't have one of those instinctive finishers on the roster. Um, so as soon as it gets crowded in the area, to me, it's like we're probably not gonna. We almost have to like pull it back out and like try to draw them back. Like, okay, let's do the approaching part again.
See if something changes. Yeah.
Let's just try that again. Like, well, yeah, we got you all the way against the wall.
I tweeted it like live watching the game, but I said defenders are the new strikers for this city team. Like, yeah, like set pieces and tall boys. Like that's what we got.
Well, but then like as soon as you say that, like Antoine got the goal.
Yeah.
And then Pato.
and
then Pato got a goal on really a play that like looked kind of busted the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
It looked like he was fucking up.
No, but it was.
But then I realized.
Go ahead.
I realized I've seen him do that at practice. He practices that thing where he's running on the ball and he does this touch where he kind of kills it. It's like he almost like kind of kills its momentum and then he runs ahead of it.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it looks like he's like, oh, what happened? I lost the ball. But he knows exactly where it is. Like he just kind of waits for it to come along. So he's faking and faking and faking.
Is he trying to like pull the keeper out of position and like?
Yeah, the keeper. Well, I mean, the keeper was like, down.
Yeah, he was like trying to like ooh.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, he got the keeper to commit and then was able to just finish Pat because the keeper's like, Jesus, what the fuck? Like, when are you gonna shoot? You can see the look on his face was like, oh, cute. Like the keeper was really looked irritated.
Yeah, he's like, fuck.
Like, wow.
But yeah, I noticed that too. It almost looked like you said when I first watched it. I was like, wow, like that. But yeah. And I saw people. I think live tweeting also, and they're like, oh man, like he almost fucked that up. But like you said, if it's something he trains, then he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, I just realized like I've seen him do it before, and I've kind of thought, oh, what if he means to do that? And like it was like in that, at that moment I realized like, bing, bing, like,
the two neurons connected of the memory.
Yeah.
Like, oh, ding, yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay, that's something he's trying to do. So, I think that we, if we'd won this match 7-0, it wouldn't have been like unjust.
I agree.
I mean,
really that's 5-0 at the half, and I do think, and I put this in the notes, and I'm going to ask you this because this is what I think, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. But did the players take their foot off the gas in the second half? Because to me, it seemed like they did, and
I would say no. They managed their fitness in the second half.
And that's a perfectly acceptable answer and reasoning given the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, they like the guys look around the locker room and they're not like, we don't have like 3 mannequins that are pretend roster players. Like they can see like, whoop, this is not a full bench. And so, it's only rational to realize like, okay, I gotta make sure I don't get hurt. And I don't really, I'm going to kind of keep as much gas in the tank as possible, which is part of why, like, I think Michael got the 4th goal.
Yeah.
It's because he's full of running and like he's like, I don't need to save shit. Like, and I mean, it was a good finish. Like, he was, we did the thing where we keep the ball in the left, like all the way down, and Atlanta United just, their entire team was on that half of the pitch. So we switched it to Michael, and he was able to finish from like 19 yards, like it's back
he was just
post.
like having a picnic out there too. Like
Yeah,
there's
like it was really like
like it was just wide the fuck open, and it was like,
yeah, yeah.
anyone want to get no? I guess you're
It's
losing
fine,
already.
I
Like it
guess.
doesn't. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
So
3-0, 4-0. Does it really matter?
so I do want to get to listener question because we had something that specifically I think we can pertain to um, something we wanted to talk about, which is our defense. And
Yeah.
so James Davidson asked, just how good is our defense? Does having the same back line and keeper mostly make a big difference? Because, I mean, I think you put this in the notes, but this is the second match in a row where City gave up 0 shots on goal.
Right.
So,
Yeah, Nate hasn't made a save since the Memphis match.
which is like that's crazy. I mean, okay, so
Yeah.
Stars are not good. Atlanta, like, I gotta like
Yeah. Like these are
set the
these are
reality check here.
teams that we should be largely shutting down, but like no shots on goal, and
So how good is our
I mean,
defense? James
some of
wants to
that
know.
is how good is it? I mean, I think that they're very good. I think it is enormously important that um, three of the four worked together all last year, and two of them for years and years before that. I think that is massively important on that end of the pitch, especially like that kind of cohesion is hard. It is impossible to replicate, and it's at the heart of defensive football. Is knowing what your partner's going to cover and knowing what you've got to cover, or whatever. Um, and it's not something we've seen anything like in as Detroit City supporters. Really, we kind of reload every year up until Trevor came
Yeah, I
in.
would say 2019.
So this is a new
Yeah.
experience for us. Um, but I mean, this is the way it is in the rest of the world. It's generally considered like bad juju if you're constantly changing defenders. You know, like typically defenders are the guys who you stay with a little longer on their contract. Like, they'll maybe be declining, but the perception is that even a defender who's starting to decline slightly physically, if they're experienced, a starter, that you're going to lose so much out of the cohesion um, by trying to replace them that you either need someone who's a massive, massive upgrade physically, or you just leave it alone. Just like wait till that guy falls apart.
Yep.
That's why defenders play until they're like
I
35.
was gonna say
Uh,
geriatric defenders or
right. Yeah, they got like arthritic knees and all that stuff. Cartilage-free captain at Tottenham, and the but if you can think ahead of the game, you can play defense. And when you get groups that are able to think together, um, that's not the kind of thing that you typically can just swap someone in and replicate.
yeah.
Um, so that's why you don't see a whole lot of rotation back
Yep.
there. You're probably unless one of those four guys is hurt, you're probably going to see those names in the lineup every single match. It's going to be the first four names will be Steinwasser, Amu Mensah, Carroll, Lewis.
Yep.
So
Get the classics right there. Play only classics.
right.
So I didn't put this in the show notes, but I did want to talk about discipline.
Yeah.
Because and I'm going to tie it into another listener question / fellow podcaster question. They got 2 red cards stupidly.
Yeah.
One was a um, dissent, and it was confirmed via the USL end of the week report that it was like foul language towards the referee, and it
Yeah.
was I forgot the name of the player, but he basically was just complaining about a no call on a
It was the Mejia
penalty.
kid, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it was.
Wasn't it
I think it
Mejia
was
kid?
Mejia. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like he I mean, he had a complaint about the penalty. If
he was going
I,
down.
you know, yeah, but like Devin didn't play it super well. Like, kind of turned a little bit into him, and so like necessarily is kind of colliding with him in a way that you could say like, okay, you're just blocking his run, you know.
Hey,
And the kid did, like, as soon as he saw Devin turn the wrong way, he just flung himself on the
ref
ground,
made
like,
the call. Ref
aha!
made the call. Got to go
Yeah,
by what the
yeah,
refs.
right. But
Refs
at the
giveth,
same time, like,
refs taketh away.
right, and like, you know, um, like we we understand that these are young guys, you know, but the concern is that you know, there was no leader on the field telling that guy to, like, I mean, he's up, like, we've gone down and scored since
Yeah,
then,
it was like
like,
three,
right,
4 minutes after the fact.
right, he gets knocked down. He thinks there should be a penalty. He's complaining. We work the ball up to the other end. I think that's maybe when Michael scores.
That it. Yep.
Um, and so we're ready for the ensuing kickoff. That kid has run down the field not to defend Michael Bryant, who just scored. No, no, no. He ran on the field as far as the official, and then berated him all the way back to to the center circle. And you could see in the game film, you can see him like pointing at the official's taller than him, and he's pointing at the official's face, like, you know, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, I don't know what he's saying. Really speaking, you know,
Whatever it
I don't know
was.
what he's
Whatever
saying.
it was.
Whatever he's saying, you know, and you can see the official's just like,
All right.
okay,
All right,
okay,
kid.
all right. So, you know, it's clearly magic word territory.
So
You know,
yeah, exactly. And that so not to dwell on this too long, but the next one was the 86th minute, and it was a horror tackle
oh
on
my god,
Donwell, right? Like, and
right.
that was Prince that did that.
Yeah. Yeah, the dude'd been in for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I got
And
subbed
like
in the
just
81st. Yeah.
straight 2-footed Brad. Like down 4-0, you know,
Like,
3 minutes left in the match.
what the fuck, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really it yeah. And so I mean, when these kids come back to Keyworth,
Which,
you know,
yeah.
they
So
are they
so
are never ever going to face a hostile like that
Reds.
team. Atlanta United 2 is never going to face anything as hostile as Keyworth Stadium ever again, because they're about to vanish into MLS Next Pro,
Red.
where there
Yeah.
won't be any fans or anyone giving a
Red
shit. So I
asks.
think we really
Red asked,
go
"How do
ahead.
you imagine the experience of baby Atlanta United at the Key is going to be?" So yeah, how do you feel about
Yeah.
that?
I mean, I think they are certainly going to be assaulted by smoke, darkness, and smell.
At minimum,
Um,
that's the start.
yeah.
That's the start.
I mean, you know, they're going to hear a lot of magic words, and Mr. Mejia will get some like creative, like, you know, notes on the next
For
time.
future words, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
next time you feel like you know you've had enough, you're down 4-0, and you just want to get red carded and go have a shower. Um,
So you just mentioned too MLS Next Pro, whatever bullshit, minor league soccer, and what happens next year when they leave. Gus Macker asked, "Do you know if the UD2 players are a part of the players union, and if are he assumes when UD2s go to MLS Next Pro, a lot of the guys are they going to become free agents, or are they going to still be a part of that system?"
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
anything about
I'm
that.
I'm going to say that I don't know,
Yeah.
but then I'm going to also say that MLS is designed from the ground up and has been designed from the ground up to control the amount being paid to the players. Okay, that is the structure of the league, um, and the way they do that is long contracts that the club controls. So I am guessing that there's nobody they're going to get rid of that they don't want to. I'm guessing they've signed these kids to one of those like 3+1+1 deals, where it's like, you know, it's a 3-year contract at minimum wage or whatever, and then 2 years of club options, so effectively a 5-year contract.
Wow.
um, and that's kind of their like standard doohickey. Um, so I you know I would like to imagine that we're going to have a. I think the market for players is going to be a lot tighter in the future, and that's on purpose. MLS is running this league to put player pressure on USL. Like that's what it's
That's its
for.
purpose.
It's soccer wars. So you know, I think we're gonna continue to have like the kind of problems we're having this year. Until we have a lot of payroll and can just afford to just fucking pay guys to come in
Dish it out. Yeah.
here.
Any last thoughts on DCFC versus the UD2s? Do you have a takeaway? Something that people may not have noticed?
I mean, the the thing for me is I think this is the first time USL has like I think it's interesting to watch the USL watchers and the official USL accounts like take on City like very quickly turn like we always knew you had it in you, bro. Um, because we just came out and just kicked the shit out of them, and really we would have won that 10 times out of 10, and um, and I think that like the opinions in the ether have gone from like, well, they're trying hard, they're going to be scrappers, to okay, yeah, they're hard out, to like, oh, okay, well, this is not a bad, these guys are hard to score against for sure, to now like, oh, okay, that they're actually pretty good, they're like, and I mean,
Nisa All Stars.
yeah, I mean, you don't see it. The only time you see Nisa All Stars mentioned is by us now,
Yeah, oh
where
yeah.
we're like, haha, eat it,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like and
I would say that like I don't like if you're a person who cares at all what takes are going to come back at you. I would say maybe 5 matches into the season isn't time to like hang on the rim after you're done. Like whoa, like let's get to July.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, we've looked good so far, and I think that what I took away from this match is like, okay, they're going to have a hard time playing this down now. Like,
yeah.
all right,
Yep.
the,
And shout out to Jackie who mentioned that this afternoon. Um, she said, "Can we all laugh about the veteran Detroit City and
oh
the
my god,
they're performing as well as we knew they would?" Messaging
oh my
coming
god,
out
oh,
from
did
the
she seriously?
Oh my god,
I,
dude!
I,
In the Atlanta game, and like in other games where they're, because like we're on ESPN Deportes this week,
okay.
and so like everyone's covering like, oh, we're gonna be on here and then like catch this game, on Friday night, and so they're like all the commentators across the league for all these different teams are just like pretending like they never doubted DCFC, and it's just
They're like,
it's
they're a great story,
yeah.
and it turns out they can play some football
It's
too.
so bad. And
Oh.
so like yeah, that like Jackie's observation, we were watching some games on Saturday night and Sunday and like Monday and Tuesday, because there's just so many games to watch. But but yeah, the messaging coming out of the league and from the commentators across the league is just like it's asinine, dude. And she says she says we're like 4 weeks into this thing and the backtracking is unreal, which it is.
Yeah,
It's like
no, it is. I mean,
fucking we
yeah.
got receipts, people.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I'm just going to reiterate Jackie's point then.
No, like
So
it's just
that
it's
was
great how you
I
guys are
didn't
on the
see that.
same page and it's like it's
Yeah,
noticeable.
yeah. I just like looking through Twitter and uh yeah, the things from the league. Um, I think that like here's the difficulty for me is that I think USL like they're so delighted to have our kind of vigorousness, you
Finally,
know.
people who care.
right. And like, and the way like, and then they got a little taste of like that Nisa craziness with the George statement, and like, oh my God, like, oh, it's like, man, you don't even know. We just
You
did a
don't
whole year
you
of
don't even
that.
fucking know. We've been doing this for
Yeah.
like a decade.
Right. So, um, but I still think that
They do love to squash you,
there's a
man.
massive disconnect between how much they love our vigor and the things they're asking us to do on match day that are the things that produce that vigor.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I think there is likely to be a massive diminution in that kind of excited state if we're just like turning into another,
Diminution
like, you know
is a
commerce ball.
$1,000 word. Diminishing. Like, is that I don't know that word.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it's going to, you know, it's going to decrescendo. It's going to go
Oh,
quieter and quieter and quieter. Um, the more that people, like, here's the thing. We've always had some rules.
yeah,
We've always had some boundaries. Like this idea that like old Northern Guard was like, I wrote that this is where family friendly entertainment, like, got curb stomped
yeah.
or
To
whatever.
die, left to die on
Um,
the curb or something. Yeah.
right, but that is metaphor. We didn't actually curb stomp anybody. Okay, those are just like, you know words, and the the thing that the thing that is a little frustrating is that it feels like, we like I want to caution USL people who are doubtless listening to this. You can fuck this up. Okay, this is not durable passion out of, like, the more.
Signal for some reason.
Oh yeah,
Losing
it,
internet.
it's noticeable
Yeah.
when you're talking.
Uh, hold on
That's
one
rough.
second. I don't know what's going on here. I'm like having real bad issues with my internet for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like, I'm looking at the feed and it looks like it's real jumpy. Chad
Uh,
says, George Chunkai DDoS.
this is the league stepping in.
Yeah, damn it!
I think we're back. I think we're good.
They got to me.
Yeah, we just dropped about 5,500 frames and lost internet for a little bit. The man is coming for us. I think we're back though, so we're good. Yeah, so no, and let's pick it up at decrescendo.
Yeah, I mean, I was just once, like, as I apparently am going to do every, episode of this. I was making the point that, that this this desire for conformity and commodification, um, is uh, is penny wise and pound foolish, um, and is a classic short term over long term play. And I would think that if you business fucks in the fucking building should, like, look at the longer term here and think about how are you going to beat MLS, because that's where you're headed. You got a decade or so before they're going to stomp you out.
Yep.
So, um, like, are you going to do it by, like, being like them, just exactly like them, but like maybe with a different ownership dynamic slightly? You really think that tinkering around the edges is how you're going to defeat that, like, the billionaire monster that you're up against? like that has like the ear of Congress and shit.
It doesn't
Okay.
work like that, people.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's fine, I guess. You know, you perhaps you've been somewhere. You grew up in the '50s and you've just time traveled here, and you've missed the entire like the way that the world has become like five fucking corporations, all like incestuously passing each other money. But I think that in the current environment, um, you know, you're going to need to be disruptive in order to disrupt this.
And
Um,
let the disruptors be disruptive.
I mean, just yeah.
Like,
These people like lionize disruption until something gets disrupted, and then they're like, "Oh my God, what is happening? I feel so insecure." Like, what? Why?
like
Somebody called
this
you
is
and
what
said
you wanted.
they said that somebody called you and said strangers on the television are using swear words, and I said, "Are you watching Netflix or a soccer match?"
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. You know, all right. I guess we probably need to get on that.
So no, and like, man, chat is going off too. It's great. Um, but like, it's just so. It's very, very frustrating when we've been doing this longer than the current iteration of this league has been around, right?
Right.
And so we know what the fuck we're doing. We know. We know. We
I mean,
know. Like this
you
we
know,
kind of know. We kind of know. Like
I
let us
you
just
know,
do it. Just let us do it.
and just my overall like frustration is that once again, like it would really be encouraging if there were any instances where in the modern world where someone with power like actually perceived that non-monetary stakeholders might have something of value
What?
and like and would
I don't believe it.
just say like, hey, while we're relentlessly taking your money, what is there something else we could do to make this cooler for you? Like, really, do you really think that like the problem that you're about to have is marketing us? Are you serious? That's why you brought us here.
You know what you
Like,
were
you brought
buying.
us here for the
Yeah,
marketing.
you know what you were bringing in. Like we made it really clear and obvious, like what this is about.
Yeah,
Man,
I mean,
it's crazy.
you
We'll
know,
have the same
I
conversation next week, I'm sure.
yeah,
Uh,
I just let's bring Jamie on.
yeah,
God,
let's. We're gonna go to a break. We'll be back in. Jackie said, "Don't act like you don't want us to be the bad guys." We'll see you folks in a couple minutes. We'll be back.
Hello, Dion. Sean.
How are
Sorry.
you doing? Sean's doing well, as you can see.
Everything is good. I'm drinking my Snoop Dogg wine as voted on by
Wow.
Twitter.
What's it called? Is it just called Snoop Dogg wine? Or has it got a sweet name?
I wish. Cali
No,
Red.
That's kind of a boring name. I was expecting something better. something more
wine,
Izzle
Dion.
or is, something like that, but
Yeah.
ooh, new sign.
What?
New sign.
Read
Fuck
your
everybody.
sign. Fuck every. That's basically what it says. Read your sign for the people that are watching with their ears on the podcast and can't see it.
Watching with their ears.
Yes, watching with their ears. What's it say?
Right. Today's sign. Fuck USSF, fuck Ohio, and
I mean, that's
USL
basically
too.
everyone. You were right.
Yeah, basically. USL, it was supposed to be also like fuck USL, but I didn't have any more K's in my
Oh,
letter package.
Someone
So
get Jam more K's with her.
Yeah,
Some
we need
more
to.
letters.
need more
Yeah,
letters.
we need to measure those letters and get some backup stat. More
More
K's.
K's are more fucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Needed.
Oh, you're stuck at 2 fucks. A 2 fuck schematic. That's never going to work.
That's not gonna work.
Right?
It's not gonna work. Jam, do you have any thoughts on UD2? Like, we'll go back. Like, what's there to say?
I mean, not many. It's pretty much what I expected. No one gives a shit about two teams. They have the worst attendance in the league besides the teams that don't have fans allowed. And I thought they might maybe score one, but yeah,
Didn't
well.
happen.
Yeah, even talented children, it turns out, are still children, and adults typically can outcompete children.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole thing is basically what I expected.
Absolutely. So, we got a match coming up in 2 days, right?
2 days.
Not 3 days. 2 days. I'm bright as hell. Oh my god.
2 days.
2 days. Who we got? We got Birmingham, right?
Birmingham.
Nice. So I just before we dive into this, Sean put together some show notes. He was busy. The last thing that he put on was, quote, fucking Juan Agudelo, which I assumed, in the way that I interpreted it, that it was the last thing on there, and the only thing that he put for Birmingham City was that he has half an hour of content to talk about Juan Agudelo.
I did not intend to imply. Okay, I want to say that I probably could just, go on Juan Agudelo for 15, 20 minutes.
2 minutes. You got 2 minutes, Sean.
But that was not my intention. I just ran out of time and thought, I'm going to come back to this. And then, I texted you at 5 or whatever. It's like, I can't get back to it. So yeah, Juan Agudelo, like.
So for the folks at home, why are we talking about Juan Agudelo?
All right, Juan Agudelo is a Colombian-American striker whom the Birmingham, what are they, Legion?
Yeah, you put City, but it's Legion.
Birmingham City Legion.
They have a cool nickname, actually.
Yeah.
Jam, do you know their nickname?
No, but I know where they got their actual name.
Okay. You share yours first, and then I'll share mine. And then we'll go to Sean.
So, Birmingham Legion was named after Legion Field, which is another historic field. However, they don't fucking play at that field.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
USL built us a new field
last year because their actual field flooded or some shit, and they was their biggest crowd, 10,000 people. They played at Legion Field, but it's literally the only fucking time they played at the stadium they're named after.
So they have Tom Lisinski in the chat says Legion Field is a dump. Oh, careful. Don't take photos behind Legion Field, It might set off some Twitter wars. Alan Jacobson said one of their nicknames is the Hammers, and that's true. But the one that I heard that I thought was really clever was the Three Sparks, because they have the 3 little stars in their logo.
Oh, I have not heard of that. However, I thought the Hammers not only I guess isn't a nickname, but their supporters group started as a supporters group for the NPSL team, who was the Birmingham
Throwback.
Hammers.
Throwback. So, we got that out of the way. Sean, Juan Agudelo, let's go back.
Okay, so Juan Agudelo is it like if you started watching football in the last like 5 years, you probably never heard of him. However, if you started watching football, say 11 years ago in America, you would have heard a whole lot about him because he was a guy who broke out as a teenager and got caps for the U.S. national team and scored goals for the U.S. in like World Cup qualifiers and I think
which was unusual for the
friendlies.
U.S. at the time.
Like he, well, I mean, you're talking about a U.S. team. Like this is a U.S. team that had. Okay, like
go off, Sean. Let's hear it.
Okay, like this is a team that had Clint Dempsey on the right wing and Landon Donovan on the left wing and a big hole in the striker. They tried a lot of people, Josie, whatever. And Juan Agudelo was one of the guys that was in the rotation and played well. He was and is kind of an all-round forward. He's a guy who can play with his back to the goal. He can create shots on his own. He can dribble a little bit. He's a plus athlete, or he was when he was 19. The question is, he's never a guy for whom application has been like the top thing. He doesn't work super hard, and he never has. And so, at 29, we don't know really what he's got in the tank. He did score on his debut, and he did look pretty much like Juan Agudelo. But, in the context of this, you put Leo Messi on the Birmingham Legion, and he's going to produce some amazing moments, but he's probably not going to have like 5 assists a game because nobody's going to finish for him. And putting Juan Agudelo in this, I'm going to point to Dion's notes here, which points out that they lost their top 3 scorers from last season.
They did.
29 of their 50 goals from last season.
Not great.
Not great. Left in the offseason. So I got to feel like we're if this comes good for Juan Agudelo, it's unlikely to come good this week.
That's not reassuring.
Yeah. But I mean, he is a guy who, if you're talking about a person who has played, like, in terms of like what's the highest level match you've played in, and that's how we're going to decide you're the highest level person that's played, besides the people we've played in our international friendlies. In terms of like somebody coming to Keyworth in a league match, Juan Agudelo is the highest profile of anyone we've ever played.
Which
that's just
I feel like,
because that's in his past.
Wasn't that? I feel like that was a listener question as well, but I maybe didn't pull it. Someone asked like, who is like the best player that we have ever played outside of exhibitions?
It's it's in your notes.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, Dan asked that.
Is he the highest? Yeah. Is he the highest profile visiting player? Yeah, probably. I think probably.
Vinny Bell.
in terms of like a visiting player, yeah. Yeah.
Vinny Bell.
I can't think of it,
Vinny Bell massive.
Yeah. Vinny Bell massive in terms of he's not as massive, like he's not that big.
No, he's not Agudelo big, but I think okay.
Well, no, I'm saying Juan Agudelo is not as big, like physically big as Vinny Bell. But that's
not what I mean.
His reputation is Vinny Bell massive.
No, my hot take is that at the end of this season, Vinny Bell will have done more damage to DCFC in the last 5 years than Juan Agudelo has.
Well, I mean,
that's a hot
really
take.
a hot take.
Like unless Agudelo scores like 5 goals.
If he's hot,
Friday
if he
night.
turns, you said if he turns hot.
I
this
mean,
week.
I have seen him score some fucking ridiculous goals, and I have seen him do amazing things on the pitch. Like, you know, and I'm not talking about 10 years ago. I'm talking about like 3 years ago. And he's not 38 years old. You know, he's 29. So, you know, I mean, I think that could potentially be a really good signing for them if it like, but you know, it's one of those big ifs. Like, if he was coming to us, I would be super stoked because you know that Trev gets out of guys what they have.
That's true.
And it got like, and what he has in him, like, what the things I've seen him do, like, he would be like an incredible addition to our roster. But if you're Birmingham, like, are they going to get the best out of him, or is he just going to kind of coast? You know, is he going to be like, "Yo, I'm Juan Agudelo, bitch," like, you know, like, training's over, I'm going home. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that really remains to be seen. And I put this in the show notes. But like, they need a guy like him, and they need a guy like him to step it up. Because what I saw of them in that Hartford match was that, you know, they have good strikers, but they just didn't perform. They did not look as good as they should be on paper. At the end of the day, there was some, you know, hero moments where they shots outside the box that, you know, 6 inches lower would have went in, but you know, that's not, you can't rely on that to win games, right? So they were just not creating the opportunities that they really need to. I think for us, one thing to look out for going into this game against Birmingham is like, our defense is going to need to continue to be one of the best in the league in order to win this game.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty confident going into this game, honestly, based upon what I saw. You know, I've watched all their highlights, and I've just watched the one match, the most recent match. And you know, like, Agudelo's goal came off of a kind of a broken play, a turnover really, really deep, where they were able to just kind of quickly convert it, you know, get the ball back into the box, and he finished it. And I don't remember what the second goal was.
I remember that all the goals came from mistakes. Like, it just wasn't...
and it didn't. Yeah, they didn't seem to know how they wanted to create chances. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like one of those, you know, like one of those, you know, step 1, do this, step 2, step 3, step 4, profit. You know, there's like step 3,
the question marks.
Like, yeah, it's like move the ball through midfield, and something happens, and then goals.
Hey,
you know, yeah.
So, Jam, what else can you tell us about Birmingham? Because you threw in some deep cuts right at the beginning. I know you got more.
Give us the good shit.
So I didn't get to dig too much into their owners, but I thought it was fucking cool. They're owned by like a handful of local guys.
Good. Hopefully they're not pieces of shit.
Only one of them had his own Wikipedia page, so I feel like it's not, hey, here's the 5 billionaires in town.
Number of Wikipedia pages per owner should be a statistic on determining whether or not they're shitheads.
Yeah, they only have 20% Wikipedia representation. We feel like they're probably good people.
So yeah, like it's. I mean, again, without knowing all the inner workings, like, it's a handful of local guys, so that's kind of cool.
That is cool. I'm into that.
Yeah, like, I don't hate that.
What about their supporters? What can you tell me? I have opinions about their supporters just fucking watching that last game, but what can you tell us?
I watched the sound off, so I don't really...
You saved yourself, man.
Yeah. You don't even know. They do have supporters. Their main supporters group is the Magic City Brigade.
I didn't realize it was them. Okay.
Yeah, so that is them.
So wait, Birmingham is the Magic City?
I guess.
Let's pull up their Wikipedia page.
Yikes.
So Magic City Brigade, yeah.
So they did start as a supporters group for the Birmingham Hammers that were MPSL, and then their final season was in PDL.
So this team put that team out of business, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Oh no.
Well, but like it sounds so. But like, did they overlap at all, or did this one appear the next year?
I don't think there was overlap. Legion was announced in 2017, but they didn't actually play till 2019. And I think that PDL team's last season was 2018.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So like kind of.
I mean,
but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't dig deep enough into it to find out who was involved with both.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it's like
somebody
probably. Like the devil's in the details
it
there,
is.
and it really, if these,
Yeah.
The fact that the team went NPSL to within the USL ecosystem in PDL makes me wonder if these teams weren't kind of connected. If it wasn't like, okay, we're not going to be the Hammers on the national stage. That's not going to. We think that branding's not going to work.
Right.
We're going to rebrand and go again as a championship side.
And I didn't find much about the previous team to know like what crossover there probably is.
Right.
But yeah, so the supporters group started with those teams, and then when this team came along, they were just like, cool, we'll support these fucking guys too. Per usual, it's the standard $25 paid membership, gets you stuff. You're one of the cool kids if you pay your membership fees. And their chants fucking suck.
Yeah. It was. It was like
we got like
it was like
I believe.
Yeah, it was like a who's who of American soccer chants. It was not great.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I just did quick Wikipedia dives. Birmingham Hammers have no relationship in terms of ownership to Birmingham Legion.
Okay.
No connection. I'm gonna rule it as this team put the MPSL team out of business without knowing more.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that they went to a USL thing at the end made it seem like, oh wait, what? Like what's going on there? But maybe they were just trying to save themselves. Like,
and like in general, like Magic City Brigade was always kind of cool on social and like kind of had the mentality of more independent support. So I don't. It didn't seem like there was too many of them there at that game. Sounded like there was maybe a couple dozen of them. I don't know how big they are. Jim, do you know how big they are?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know numbers, but like realistically, I'm just thinking even look at population like a fucking state of Alabama. Like it's not a super dense population.
The stadium holds 47,000 though.
I mean, yeah, but
and they have
football stadium.
Oh god, yeah, it is. It's a
college stadium.
University of Alabama.
No, wait, are you
it's
talking?
It's gotta be ABU, right? Alabama, Birmingham.
They're at a different stadium because the other thing I found is they started playing in a new stadium this year. So is the new stadium
no, it's
also
Protective Stadium, and it's owned by Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center Authority.
Yeah, so they used to play at the college stadium. So they started playing in 19. They initially signed an 8-year lease with the college stadium.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of last year, with no warning or public explanation, the college terminated an 8-year lease.
Get fucked.
Wow. Sounds like they're dealing with a rough school board. Well, I wonder what that's like.
Can relate. And so, fun fact: the USFL also plays at that stadium.
That's what I was going to say. Isn't that a USFL? Because I know Birmingham is a USFL team. Exactly.
So yeah, fun fact.
Yeah. Sweet. We're gonna get He Hate Me back. Like all the aughts, throwback dumbness.
I also have to, I have to chime in too that they had a horn player, and they honked the horn one note for like a half an hour off.
So like a bugle?
Yeah.
Like a new tuba.
Oh, really?
I don't know what it was, but it was awful and it was really bad. And I am glad that we don't have to go down there yet because I don't want to watch that game with.
I will say that you know, when I was around the fire, they had a guy named Frank Cardenas who's still an active supporter and still around, but he was on Twitter. I think he still might be Trumpet Guapo. He plays a trumpet.
I like the name
at the match. Yeah, he plays a trumpet at matches and like leads kind of songs because he will play the melody.
I like a good horn. Trust me, I like a good horn.
Yeah, it was. So I'm always kind of like I've seen people do like no brass instruments in games, man. Like, oh really? Like no, don't start saying no to that. Like
don't keep the support.
Well, like Jesus Christ, like don't
and friends are fine.
Like, look, man, whatever you're going to say is always awful. I guarantee if you like look around the world somewhere, there's somewhere where it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of are fine, so we're good.
A lot of English people will be like, "Oh, drums." Like, motherfucker, I think Brazilians have demonstrated that they know a little something about drums and football, and maybe some drums would be a good idea. England, do you want to win a World Cup again, or do you just want to keep pretend like talking about '66? Like,
let's move on. Let's listen. Do we have anything else we want to talk about Birmingham wise? I got nothing else other than I think we're gonna win, and in fact, I'll even make a hot take. I think we're going to win the next 5 USL games. Boom.
Wow.
Boom. Hot take.
What will
I'm going to go 3.5.
You're going to win 3.5 of the next games?
We're going to draw one?
We're going to draw one. I'll take that. I'll take 10 points. I'll take 10 points out of the next 5.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good way to think of it because, I mean, this is a 34-game season, man. It's so fun.
Oh, it's so long.
It's 7-5.
Look at all I'm saying.
7-5.
All I'm saying is look at the schedule and tell me what you think. Next 5 games, I think we win them.
I only looked at the next 2, but
we're winning the next 5. We're winning the next 5. Just saying.
So okay, so what's
so we're gonna go on to the next thing because
we're way over time.
We're at an hour and we gotta talk about fucking Open Cup. So let's go. Yeah. Let's just fucking go. We got fucking crew. Let's go. Fuck them.
I mean, we have until recently, we have proudly said fuck Ohio. Now apparently we shamefully say fuck Ohio, but still fuck Ohio. And the crew,
we have different takes on this, Sean. So if you want to start,
Okay. I mean,
I'll give people hope if you want to tear them down.
I mean, well, there are a couple of reasons to think that. Like, I'll let you handle the upside.
Yeah, I'll do. Okay? Yeah, listen, man.
The downsides are that this is a roster that should challenge for MLS Cup this year, and that has challenged for MLS Cup recently. Has won it recently, with largely the same roster. And you could be like, MLS, but I mean, at the top levels, MLS is a difficult and very talented league, and the playoffs are a crucible. And this team, essentially this roster with this coach has won it. So this is obviously an incredibly huge match. I think the most difficult competitive match we've ever had at Keyworth. We should be the heaviest underdogs for a competitive match that we have ever been. I'm guessing, 4-1, 5-1, something like that. Against, because not only are we a mid-table team in the division below, but also we are a notoriously thin rostered mid-table team that can't afford to really like. What are we going to rotate? We're going to rest guys against Birmingham? No, we're going to run the same dudes out there on Friday night and on Tuesday night.
The only dudes we
Hope nobody gets
have.
hurt. And like they have real talent, you know.
They do. They do. I was looking at that
Yeah,
roster and I knew some names, and I don't follow
yeah,
MLS.
right. Well, like I can't remember who Solarian is rumored. Like he's rumored to be somebody's looking at him. Um,
Someone.
mm, like I mean, like Enter maybe. Like I mean,
That's
somebody.
someone.
I'm saying I'm like I read a rumor where it's like it's one of those scouting rumor sites where it's like blah, blah, blah. I can't remember who it was. I think it was an Italian team. For some reason, I want to say Inter, but I think that's probably wrong.
It's a safe bet.
But I mean,
They're always
he's a
shopping.
difference.
Inter be shopping.
He's a right, exactly. And he's a guy. Well, and they're kind of like, they're looking for deals, right? And they're a guy like they're looking at a guy like Solarian and going, maybe 12 million. That's not that much money to them. And the crew were like 12 million, like um, but Caleb Porter will probably like have a fucking aneurysm if they sell Solarian without him approving it.
Yep.
And I mean that's just one of the guys on their roster. They've got talent in at every level and young talent coming through that is probably what we're likely to face because of the fact that they have a match on Saturday.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
so I mean, segueing into your segment of this.
How do you feel, folks? You feel confident going into this one? You feel good? Listen.
Dion.
They're playing. Okay, listen. They're playing Orlando City Saturday. When Orlando City, and I did my research, folks. I looked into MLS stats for you, the listener. I would not do this if I didn't do this. They're playing Orlando City. Orlando City is number 2 in the league, doing really well, right? And Columbus missed playoffs last year, which
they had like a lost year.
And they got Caleb Porter, Timbers legend, won the MLS Cup with Portland. I forgot 07, something like that, and
Sure.
then won with the Crew in 2020. So he won MLS Cup 2 years ago, Pandemic Cup, which they did win it, but it's a Pandemic Cup, so I'm just saying, like it's not the same. It's not the same.
I mean, like I will say, okay, and like here, I do want to soccer nerd out a little bit here, which is to say that Caleb Porter has traditionally his sort of times at a club follow this cycle where they peak kind of very quickly. He gets a lot out of the guys that are there, but he burns them out, and they get tired of dealing with him, and they get tired. Like he's like one of those hyper demanding, like kind of caustic shitheads, and
Ben
so
Pierman
we may be coming around right at the right time, because I think that like last year and maybe the slow start this year where they've spent some money in the off season. They're not just sitting on their hands, and they're kind of came slow out of the gate. They're not really tearing it up the way they expect to. It could be that like they like get thumped against Orlando and then shit the bed against us. Like
I think, dude.
I think that we need to practice. You're getting sacked in the morning is what I'm saying.
I think that's a good one. I will. It's not a difficult chant, but I will learn it for you. And
everyone at home.
I just gotta say, Sean, that Michael Kitchen is roasting you in the chat right now.
Is he?
And he said, Trevor James took an NPSL City team and beat Atlas. If we lose, it will be by a goal or on PKs. I believe we got this, especially when we sabotage them with smoke, smell, and darkness.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, like, I think that we need to I think it's important, as people who don't want our passions to be plundered, to think clearly about what we're talking about. And so when we faced Atlas in an exhibition, um, that they expected to come out and just destroy us
And so does the
and
crew.
beat
So
them,
does the crew.
and the same dynamics will come into play, but on an even more heightened level, because there is tremendous pressure for the crew to beat us. They will, like, it's not like Atlas where they're kind of like, like, I mean, for them crashing out of the Open Cup at the earliest opportunity to a team that just became pro and that has spent like the entirety of their existence saying "fuck the state you're in," it would be a suboptimal outcome. Um, and I mean, that's like, look, this is the scenario we hope for, is that once the match kicks off, if we can prove to be more competitive than they're anticipating us being, that they'll start to take the collar real quick. Like, they'll just like, oh God, oh, this is going to be so embarrassing. We don't, like, you want all those negative thoughts to be percolating in their head. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so my take is that it's possible.
yeah,
I think that they are going to play a heavily rotated starting lineup, and I think we need to come out of the gates early and do it in the
Yes.
right. Thank you, Jam. Is that I think we need to come out of the gate strong and put some up on the rotated squad, and then when the starters come in the second half, I think that our defense again is going to need to be the
yeah.
heroes.
I mean, if we can get the goal, you know, I mean, it's a cup match. It's like
Yeah,
that's the
that's it.
that's the
That's
scenario.
it.
Get the goal, and then, like, our
Anything can
defense is
happen.
our defense has shown that they are really good at not just holding teams off from scoring, but also draining the clock, and like all of that stuff would come out. Where Devin's going to take the free kick, and then he like off after the offside, and then he realizes after sizing it up that really this is probably more Nate's style. So he's going to leave it for Nate, and Nate's going to go, okay, oh gosh, yeah, oh, I forgot, you're going to want me to do that. Okay, he's going to slowly walk over there, survey where he might kick the ball. And the official now, it's like been like 45 seconds, and the official's like, come on, what the fuck? And Nate's like, oh, okay, geez, I'm sorry,
The
sir.
dark arts.
Um, like,
Shout out to last week's episode. The dark arts. Um,
the dark, yeah. I mean, I would love to see that happen. However, and this is something I said to you in the
you
pre-match,
did.
or the pre
Yeah,
talk.
pre-show.
I Given the state of our roster and the fact that we really have 15 footballers, um, I think that a long run in the Open Cup could potentially be a disastrous outcome for us, and that it could be
I hate
the
that.
hurdle that sends us just tumbling end over end, because like, fixture congestion is something you just is a health problem you can't plan around. You have to. There's 11 guys that are going to have to go 90 minutes, and then 11 guys are going to have to go 90 minutes, and then every time you stick one of those matches in midweek, all three of those matches become increasingly heightened, um, risks for injuries,
Jam,
as players start to incur deep muscle fatigue that you can't just recover from. Um, and we play a demanding system. Like, our midfielders are going to need time. Um, and I just can't see any way that Brad can play the way he plays and like live through the season if he's trying to play 90 minutes every match, and we're playing midweek matches very often. So I mean, I don't want to hate on anyone's dreams, and I think it is absolutely true that we should always want to win every match. But if the crew come and beat us 3-1 and it's a bummer, like, I think there's lots of reasons to say, okay, that's going to be all right.
we'll have to
You
make
know,
our presence known in other ways.
right, right.
Jam, I think you were saying something in that, but you didn't come through. What were you gonna say?
I fucking hate the Open Cup.
Why do you hate the Open Cup?
So
Okay,
many.
I gave
One, all the shit that Sean just talked about. Like, to me, the season is more fucking important than this stupid ass Open Cup.
That's fair.
Like, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I want to I care more about where we're at in the league than the fucking Open Cup. And, like, I know people will agree with me. Like, the Open Cup itself is not what it used to be. Like, it's turned into this shitty thing where lower level clubs who used to be able to, like, plow through this thing and, you know, not have to travel far and be able to afford shit and not have to pay all these ridiculous fees. Like, it used to be a fun thing to watch, to say, like, let's see how far this fucking semi-pro team from Colorado goes. And now it's just the same US soccer bullshit. Like, the fees are ridiculous. People can't fucking afford it. I mean, how many times in the last few years have we seen NPSL teams have to start GoFundMes so that they can afford a fucking bus? Right. It's stupid.
I don't disagree with any of that. But
yeah,
but I also feel like DCFC in the CONCACAF Champions League.
I mean, yeah, like, that's fucking cool, like, and we could use that $300,000. Like, that's cool too.
It would. I mean, I know how unrealistic
it
is.
We have 10 players on our fucking team.
I know how unrealistic it is.
Yeah, I mean, if there were, like, honestly, if this were like the FA Cup, and you're talking about the kind of money you can make in an FA Cup tie, you know, I would be like, okay, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to kind of just go for it because you know, if you get an away day draw with a big team, you're getting half the ticket income. You know, you go to the Theater of Dreams and you get like a $3 million check for getting crushed by Man United. Cool. I mean, you know, you just paid for our whole year.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, but there's nothing like that in the Open Cup. I mean, the prize money is for per round is just insulting. It doesn't even cover your travel, and yeah, they're like, U.S. soccer has wiped its ass with this competition repeatedly. That when they were sitting on a mammoth treasure chest of money several years ago, none of it went to the Open Cup. None of it went to making this more inclusive and more representative and trying to handle doing all the things they could do and all the things that are proven to work in other soccer countries to make the cup competition like a way to kind of interleave all the soccer teams in the nation together into one big tournament. Like that's the whole idea. And they
like, it could be so awesome. It could be the most fun anybody has all year.
I mean, you know, and I mean, there's a reason the FA Cup is still kind of a big deal in England, because it really is still kind of that way. Like, you know, these teams that play in front of 50 people in the 8th division are, you know, playing the preliminary rounds, and if they win a few matches, like, you know, they're in the draw.
Okay. I'm putting you. Okay, chat's going off. I'm putting you both on the spot because there was a question, and I love it. And it was Michael Kitchen. Michael Kitchen said, "At the end of the season, which would you rather celebrate? Winning the USL Championship or the US Open Cup?" Sean, go. 2 minutes. It's a good question. Jam,
all right,
go.
I
2
have
minutes.
Answers. Fuck it. I don't even need 2 minutes. Have you met me? Like, no. So, realistically, the fucking Open Cup would be way more exciting to celebrate. Like, we smashed all these teams. That's great. But realistically, the USL Championship is more likely.
True, but that wasn't the question. The question was, which would you rather win?
I sure.
I mean, you know,
answer the question.
It's, you know, like, I think that it is.
I would rather celebrate the Open Cup, even though it fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Okay, I have a hard time imagining a scenario where we could win the Open Cup and it wouldn't be disastrous to us. Okay, I'm just telling you, like adding another 8 matches to our season or whatever,
It's
6
like
matches.
4. It's like 4 more after this one. It's like not that many.
When are we gonna play them?
Tuesdays.
Like we're gonna play them on Tuesdays, right? With what players? Like I'm just saying, like, man, I don't see how we win 4 matches against increasingly difficult competition.
That's why I want to win it.
Because
the unlikeliest of scenarios that we do. I mean, like, imagine how insufferable we would be.
Right. Well, the other thing about the Open Cup is it's not like it doesn't have the cachet that it should. I think
it doesn't. No, you're right.
Now, I would say that I think that us winning the Open Cup would be great for the Open Cup.
U.S. soccer doesn't want that.
No, but I mean, I like, really, if you're talking about like getting people to pay attention to the Open Cup and really focus on it, and like having us, specifically us, not
just doing this the
team.
whole way, just fucking middle fingering our way up.
Right, exactly. Just like smoke everywhere. Like, I mean, you know what? We would probably see a lot more. I mean, so in that scenario, I think that it would be awesome. However, like, unless we're about to announce like 4 more guys, I just really, oh man, I'm so nervous every match right now. So I mean, I think that I would rather, like, if I'm picking just blind, which would feel better, maybe the Open Cup, just because you're vanquishing everyone.
Yeah.
And you really can be like, middle fingers up, maybe we're the fucking champions of all you bitches. But like in terms of, like, building a soccer like project, winning the league is much more important.
Of course. This is for shits and gigs. This is shits and gigs kind of. So to bring it back around more seriously, give people a little more hope, and feel free to crush their dreams after I give them hope, Sean. But
no, I'm not trying to crush your dreams.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you a hard time. You're not actually crushing hopes and dreams. I'm talking shit to you. It's so, one thing I've seen, and fence line people take note, Crew fans don't have a lot of faith in their fullbacks right now. And that is probably their weakest area. And I think their fullbacks are a bunch of young guys that are pretty inexperienced. So with that being said, if you're on the fence line, take note of use the guard book and find out what their names are, because those are going to be the guys that you want to get in their heads and take them out of the game. You want to give us an advantage. There's at least 2 players that are going to be on the fullbacks that we should be able, at minimum, to get into their head. So,
and I mean, like, the goal is not necessarily to make, like, you're not trying to make a guy cry.
Just fucking distract him.
What you're trying to do is just get him to look at you.
Yeah, acknowledge.
Like, that's all it is.
Like
all you're trying to, like, do is just shave their concentration down 5%, because that's where we're going to beat them anyway. Our guys are better at the mental game, and if we can like shake up their mental snowball a little bit.
Yeah. Tell them their shoes are untied. It works.
One of my favorite ones, and feel free to use this because it's fucking hilarious, is Mackie would always yell, "Hey, you dropped your pocket!" Then they're like, "What?" And it has worked. I've seen it work. Jackie got his shoes untied. Once too. I forgot who that was against, but that was good. What was that? Do you remember who that was, Jam?
I don't remember who it was, but I was standing right there, and like, she said it, and he looked, and then back over his shoulder and just like grinned at her.
It's
like, he wasn't even mad. He was just like, this bitch got me.
Chad in the chat said, "Better hope nobody has their shirt tucked in." Like,
okay, let me just say that I'm looking at the MLS website right now, and it's fucking win-loss tie.
of course it is. Of course, it's U.S. soccer, baby. You're gonna have an aneurysm over here. A stroke. And yeah, Jam. For the watchers with their ears, Jam just pointed at her sign where it says "fuck USSF" because that's what that. I wouldn't be surprised if like the federation tells leagues that's how they're supposed to do it. Like if that's like a
We-
guideline.
Oh, I'm sure it is. 'Cause fuck 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, somebody produced a style guide
we
somewhere along the line, and they copied the AP NFL style guide.
we do. Jam, do you know anything about crew supporters? I'm gonna try to keep us slightly on topic here.
Do I know anything about cruise supporters?
Cool. Yeah, they're
Nope.
called. They're.
Didn't that one girl cry on
She
TV
did
that
in
one
the
time?
MLS Cup final. She did. Yeah.
Yep.
Against
Okay, that's
Portland, I believe.
Yeah.
what I know about supporters.
Yeah. So I do know that they're trying to get a bus. I do know that there's probably at least 150 of them coming away, and
Yeah.
Yes, close
you're gonna say
250.
250. I know there's a lot of local crew fans. Yeah, like this is gonna be.
Yep.
This is it, folks. This is it.
Yeah. That's like I
It's the thing.
I hope we can pack this stadium. I want to see like the NISA final. You know what I mean?
I hope so. This is it. I can't stress enough that this is it.
And
I want to see a fucking shirtless bro party in the stands.
I mean, it's finally going to be over 40
Michigan
degrees. So
Yeah, so we had a couple questions. Dennis, we kind of answered this. Where do you rank Columbus game as regards to importance in city history? He had it at the top 5, not number 1. And he mentioned some of the other games he put in his top 5. For me, number 1. Sean, what are you?
I don't think it was as important, like in terms of our long-term whatever, as like St. Pauli, but as a competitive match, this is the most important one.
Okay, yeah, fair.
So far.
Jam?
Yeah, same. I would put it top 3 overall, but I think like worldwide St. Pauli obviously and beating fucking Atlas, like not competitive matches, but like all 3 of those sort of swirl around for me as like these are the 3 big ones.
Fair. Yeah, okay. Good. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. I think it's Strozer on Twitter, and I this morning tweeted hosts are going to weigh in on whether the crew was worth saving. My I don't think so because it's like trying to save a Walmart, I guess. Like whatever.
I mean, like the people being fucked over by MLS, like the local supporters of Columbus Crew, they'd never had any other option. Like the Columbus Crew came in there on day 1 of MLS. Nobody knew what the fuck they were, and these people have supported the crew. So they really did get fucked over.
Oh yeah, I didn't say they didn't. I just said they're not worth saving.
Now, so I mean, they wanted to they create. I didn't get this whole. Yeah, I don't get trying to guilt. It's like trying to guilt Facebook. Like Facebook don't care. And like I think that's how we need to think of MLS. It's like one of these kind of faceless, modern, proto-feudal corporations. Like they answer to nobody. They rules. Yeah, they probably got some, but they're not telling you. Fuck off. Like and yeah,
Jam was the crew worth saving?
No.
There.
Boom.
I mean, look, I feel like Would it have massively been better for them to start a Phoenix club of their own and try to like go through the independent club infrastructure? Yes, but I think then they wind up in USL with us because we've seen where the independent club infrastructure is in the United States.
true.
It's fucked.
It's true.
It's a grifter's
Yeah, yeah.
paradise of people like just stealing from you left and right, stealing our IP, straight stealing our money. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's
whoa, we need to just
again,
we just need to.
Sean, you're not wrong.
So,
But
I mean,
I gotta say that Strauzer's take might be my favorite out of all of this. And it's
Okay.
yes, the crew were worth saving so we could beat them. And
All right.
I think that's
Fine.
a good
okay.
listen.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a good way to end the crew segment. So
We out.
so lastly, any other we had a couple. I mentioned Jackie's thing about the veteran Detroit City and how USL is rewriting history per usual, blah blah blah. I did want to get to Garrett's question, which was of the squad members who are returnees from last season,
Okay.
who do you see as the one that's adapted to the new league and jump in quality of play the most? And then he adds.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that came back. So you're talking Nate, Steve, Matt, Maxie, Pato, Connor, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's got to be Pato for me.
That was Garrett's as well.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like Maxie adjusting to this level is no surprise because he was a pretty good championship player before, so I kind of expected that from him. But Pato, I really, I think everybody had kind of questions about, like when they signed him, it was kind of like, okay, let's see, but it turns out that the things he did in Nisa, he does just as well against much better defenders in USL. It's like his skill set just doesn't degrade as the play gets higher. He plays exactly the same, like except it's like the defenders last year were too shitty for him to abuse or something. I don't know. He does look really good. Maxi looks great. I mean, really everybody's that we've brought forward has played well.
Jam.
I was gonna say Pato or Stevie. Like
Stevie's
not a super fucking flashy guy, but like he's doing the same thing that he always does. And
Stevie
it works.
had a slow start for me.
We've not seen him at this level before, so it's hard to.
Yeah. He's not played at this level.
Yeah. That's true.
Like Dion was saying.
He's
right.
Up.
Yeah.
Whereas, some of these other guys we've already seen at this level, so we know they're capable. But I think with him, I'm not even really surprised. But I'm happy to see that, like, it's not anything wild, but like he's adjusted. He's doing the same thing he always does in a new league.
That was my take from Garrett's question. Was the players have always played at this level, and we knew that they could compete here. And so the last 5 weeks has been us just proving that what we already knew, that they were at this level. I don't necessarily think that they stepped it up. I think they're just doing what they've been doing. And
well, I think we said about a year ago, as we were starting to really plow through Nisa, that it looked like USL Championship defense. Like Trevor had built a USL Championship defense, and then and it seems like that was true. I mean, swapped one guy in. That guy is Devin. He's fucking amazing.
Ridiculous.
And we just rolling right on.
Like it's stupid how good he is. It's another example of how broken the system is, that a guy like Devin can just fall through the cracks and end up at like a shit show team like Michigan Stars.
Right.
And it's unbelievable.
He's so good.
Any Final thoughts as we come up on an hour and 45 minutes.
Woo!
Not like the other podcast.
We're all doing it long now these days.
Yeah, it's our new thing.
It's fine. That's
Settle in.
Any last thoughts, Jam?
No, I'm super fucking stoked for a Friday night match.
I'm excited
like that's
for a
fun.
match too.
4:00 matches are cool because I can go to bed early.
Or come home and watch the games.
But also, like,
Right.
it feels different at night.
Yeah, it feels like a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that the last episode too, where it's like a lot of people were saying after that Open Cup match against Stars, like it felt like Keyworth again. And yeah, it's under the lights, right?
Yeah.
Over the top. So,
like those nighttime
they're so
matches.
good. Sean, any last thoughts?
I mean, besides fuck Ohio?
No, I mean that's my final thought. I go to bed thinking that.
You know, I am more and more convinced, because like nobody will talk to me directly about this, but I'm more and more convinced that we are really in financial dire straits, and that is, we are trying to like tiptoe through that right now, and you know, we like this is fraught, and it's like a house of cards that really a stiff breeze could make this whole season like a death march. Okay. So like, while we remain hopeful, let's also like remember that like
Doom is always
those
being
guys are
right
people.
there.
It's like, oh yeah, it's like there's something big, and if we turn and look at it, it'll get us. So we can't turn and look at it, but you can hear it breathing, and you can feel its breath in your neck the whole time. Don't know what it is, can't look. Okay, and that's what we're up against this year. Is like, we just have to kind of keep going and hope it goes well and not look back. But you know, it's fraught, and don't kid yourself about like how all conquering we are necessarily going to be.
It is.
It's
a miracle
like,
that we're at where we're
if
at.
it if it turns out we are all conquering, we can be insufferable. You know, but
I mean,
if it turns out that we're not, it's not because like we were betrayed. You know,
I'm gonna be insufferable either way.
Exactly. Just plan for like a durable insufferability.
I've lived through even years. I've lost to Erie. I've been knocked out by Vinnie Bell. There is nothing that my insufferability can't handle. So, with that, we're at the final words, right? You gonna do it on 3? We're gonna do it on 3.
Let's do it on 3.
I'm gonna do it on 3 or after 3. Fuck Ohio!
1, 2, 3, go.
What? Wasn't ready.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Same
Fuck
time,
Ohio.
same place next week.
Fuck Ohio.
Fuck Ohio, and hopefully,
Fuck Ohio.
Hopefully next week we can start the episode by saying "fucked Ohio."
Yeah.
Eat shit, Ohio.
Peace.
Eat shit.